Hello everyone, CSWord here, and I've made an N by M AND gate off in the distance there. I plan on using it in later videos for a win detection for both tic-tac-toe and connect 4. Now before I get to it, I'll go over the steps as to how I reached that final product. For starters, you have to have a spacing between each of your nodes for the AND gate, or you'll end up with a mess like this. My thought was to pulse just a single piston, which immediately fails because of quasi-power, and then after any one of these get pulsed, I would send a signal through, and if it's able to make it to the other side, then I would know that row has successfully been all extended, in which case the AND gate would be completed. And so, the other thought would be to use powered rail to do similar things, and once all the powered rail are in the way, the one at the end gets powered, and it can send the signal through. And the issue with this is we're only limited to 8 powered rail, with the 9th one being the detection one, and there's not really much of a difference for redstone dust. We want an infinitely repeatable design, and that's where a funneling technique like this one comes along with blocks of redstone and sticky pistons. Now, once both of these get retracted, the one in front of the two gets retracted as well, and because it's sticky pistons being depowered, it will be an instant wire line. So let me go ahead and extend this so we can see a 3x3 here, or a 3 horizontal AND gate. So if I retract the first two, the one on the second row there gets retracted, but once I deactivate this third one, the final one at the end for all three gets deactivated as well. You can also do this with a redstone activated block like a noteblock and an observer, because these will only change state once they are fully depowered and powered once. So no change, and now we get a change because it's fully depowered. We get a change because it's powered once, and we get no change because it's already been powered. This does not translate vertically, however, because quasi-power. And so, for instance, right here, it should be extended, gets retracted, should be retracted, but it gets pulsed out again because it's being quasi-powered. This is not an issue in Bedrock, however, it is in Java. So you have to use the noteblock-observer combo. However, you have to make sure that you have your sticky pistons already extended and being retracted. Otherwise, you end up with an issue like this, where it's being quasi-powered here, and when you go to retract it, it doesn't change state. And so, if they're already extended like this, it will change state, and you won't run into that issue again. Now, this is great and all, but I think that a funneling design like this will take up a lot of space, and so I looked into slightly more compact designs, like a bubble column. And so, once all of the bubbles here, all the dispensers throw out their water, they can create or continue the bubble column, and once the very last one gets pulsed, oh, this one already had it, then the bubble column reaches the top and the observer is able to pulse the piston. This does not translate so well when you try combining the horizontal and vertical ones. For some reason, this dispenser just throws out its buckets. This dispenser proves the real issue, and that is you have to depower and repower for it to change states. Now, you could have probably figured out to do something with like an observer, but yeah, you'd also have to remember which ones have changed states in order to reset it properly. The next theory would be to use daylight sensors, and they work great. Anytime a solid block is above them, like a regular block gets pulled back or a piston is no longer extended, they will work. Now, of course, this is the inverted daylight sensor because they no longer have a light axis. And so the theory would be, once all of these pistons get extended, then the AND gate is successful. Now, I threw this into a 3x3 with the horizontal one working just fine, the vertical one working just fine, until you set the time to midnight, and the piston will extend because there's no longer light, and that's what the inverted daylight sensor needs to be deactivated. So this would only work during certain times of the day, which if that is the goal, then sure, I guess that works and that'd be mission complete. But I wanted a proper design, so I started looking into walls, because they can vertically send a signal if they change states like so. Like so. We see the observer down there pulse because this changed from a wall type wall to a flat wall. I don't know how to describe that. But the theory for this one would be we extend each of the pistons, and then the top one actually needs to be pulsed, otherwise it will also create this flat wall design, and then that would send the signal all the way down. You could also look at it from the top perspective, but because you're moving the top one, it's not really going to work there. And so, yeah, the real issue with this one is anytime you remove a block and there are the ones beneath it, it will also still pulse the piston down there, which is an issue. And to fix the pulse up here, you could also raise it by 1 and use a slime block, but then again, you no longer have that perfect one space pattern. And then my final thought was to use a armor stand. And with this one, you just simply remove all the blocks that are in the way, and it'd land on the pressure plate at the bottom to indicate a successful AND gate for the vertical. Now the reset for this would also be great because let's say it's somewhere along the line, you just extend all your blocks and then it gets pushed off. Perfect. The issue for this one would be the same for the walls and the daylight sensors and the bubble columns, and that is it's looking for the entire vertical column, not just 4 out of the 6 for Connect 4. And so you'd have to go into a funneling technique first, then use one of these, or just go full on funneling technique. And so you can actually combine the funneling techniques for both vertical and horizontal by having sticky pistons pull back redstone blocks and have note blocks both between the vertical and horizontal ones. So these two will depower that one and that one only, and these two will depower that one and that one only. And these two, that one right there. Okay, this is great, except for when you look at the front and you want to have a continuation. Now, the middle vertical and the middle horizontal here would intersect with each other. So there's really no way of avoiding that, and so the only way to fix that would be to just extend it using a bunch of observers, or if you want to go on the cheap, using observer block redstone activated block. And you end up with a formula of 3 times x minus 1, where x is the number of ands you want. So for Connect 4, it'd be 3 times 4 minus 1, or 9, and we can see we get 3, 6, and 9. Now, you need a spacing on the last one because the observer will pulse the piston to retract the block, and that's how you get the funneling horizontal AND gate there. But yeah, this is really the only viable way of having the vertical and horizontal ones in the same machine. And before someone says, but you said an N by M AND gate, and I want all of them. Well, you could just simply put one after another. So here I have 2 horizontal AND gates that lead into 1 horizontal. And we can retract and see that, okay, the first horizontal worked, and now nothing changes until all 4 of these are gone, and now the final block at the end gets changed. And you can even go the other way and have 2 verticals, like so. And once the very last block gets changed, we see the change at the end there. Alright, so that was just a thoughtful process, and hopefully this can be compacted by someone else. Maybe not, we'll see. But that's all I have for today, and thanks for watching, and goodbye. Well, I decided to switch it up and go horizontal first and then vertical, and it turns out that one makes it just 1 or 2 blocks longer than going the other way. So yeah, I guess if you're going to do it, go with the vertical first and then the horizontal. And it also showed over there with the total AND gate. Goodbye.